But there was one interesting part. They did the whole, how many seats would that be in the House? I don't give a crap about your numbers. Everything's margin of error at the moment. Yes, the right is stronger according to the polls. That's trending correctly. Yes, the left aren't as strong, but it's all margin of error bullshit anyway. Oh, I think they actually made a headline that both National and Labour went down 1% in this poll, which means nothing. So what? So what? All right. But this part was pretty interesting. 12 months ago, how did you think you'd be going today, and how are you going today? That's the summation of it.
A year ago today, the public voted for change, electing a leader who wanted New Zealand to get its mojo back and saying, see you later to Labour. Today we asked Aucklanders if they felt any better off a year on.
I think we're on the winning side.
My opinion, probably a worse position.
I think we're treading water. We're probably more heading in the right direction.
Nothing has come to fruition really under the new government, and there's clearly a lot of mess to be cleaned up.
I'm more positive. I think we're heading in the right direction.
In our One News Varian poll, we asked the public if they felt the country is in better, worse, or the same shape a year on from the election.
So that's interesting, yeah? So are we doing better? Are we doing worse? What do you think? And I would expect, Chewy, this to be 50-50, because the most vulnerable are doing worse. The wealthiest are doing better. And those in the middle probably haven't changed that much. So in other words, that sort of would be the expectation. If there is a swing either way, that can be a good swing if people think we're doing better. If it's a worse swing, then that's damnation of this government, I guess.
Around a third think we're better off. 40%, though, feel things are worse. And just over a quarter reckon there's been no change.
So this is an interesting way to look at this number because you could say that, we'll just get all those numbers again.
And there
we go. You could say that 56% of people think that we are in better shape or no different. So that could be sold as a positive. But you could also say 2/3 of people think we're in worse shape or no different. So it could be sold as a negative. So I think those numbers probably, each side could use them in any particular way. Although, obviously, the 40% mark in ACT colours there by chance are saying that we're in worse. That's think about it that way. That's 4 out of 10 people. If you work at a place with 50 people, 20 of them are worse off. That's how they feel. So, putting numbers to it, that's an interesting thing. If you're in a workplace of 10 people, 4 of them think or are worse off. Before I push play, Chewy, do you want to add to anything?
It's not 90% in worse shape, so I feel like I'm going crazy.
Yeah.
And this is the risk of being in an echo chamber. So just
but the thing is, that's why I said I think it should be an even spread, because the thing is we are aware of people who are in worse shape, but I'm also aware of people who are in better shape. And I would think the top third would be better, the bottom third would be worse, and those in the middle would be about the same. And actually, it's not that far off it. If that was 33, that was up 3, that was down 7, that was up 7, it's not that far off that. But it still comes in that if you're using these numbers, the biggest slice of the pie is in worse shape today than they were at election day. Now, the next question you'd have to ask is why? Are they in worse shape because of what this government's done? Are they in worse shape because of what the previous government left them? Now, I'm not asking that question. I think everyone would know what I'd say based on what this government's doing right now. But that's still a fair question to ask. Let's get to the end of this.
Just over a quarter reckon there's been no change. In the Garden City today, a somewhat rosier outlook.
Yeah, I'd say better off. Yeah.
And why's that?
Had a pay rise from the boss, which was a nice thing.
Feeling a lot more confident, and I feel like the job market's slowly picking back up.
Probably about neutral. Yeah, I don't think things have shifted that much.
This morning, these former political heavyweights
So they just echoed it. One better, one worse, one neutral.
in.
In relative terms, New Zealand's a small little country, but in absolute terms, we're like a super tanker. It takes a long time to stop it, a long time to turn it around, and a long time to get it going in the right direction.
Michael Wood, how long is too long?
Pretty worrying for the government, I would say. It has been a year now.
And we are seeing some things that are worrying people. 47,000 new people unemployed this year. That's Eden Park full of unemployed people this year.
And in Dunedin, a tough crowd.
I think it's worse off. I think the government's made...
Yeah, I don't think this government's going to get a welcoming from Dunedinites. If you saw that hospital march, there were those three people. There were the top third, the bottom third, and the middle third. When you're talking about income, they were all there. They were all there.
Made a lot of promises that they haven't kept.
We thought we were going to get an improvement by voting for change, but that's not what's happened.
Broken promises.
See, that's damning, because what she's saying is, I voted for them and they promised us change, and we didn't get it. The next lady saying broken promises, maybe she didn't, but this lady here, she definitely is someone who voted, in my opinion, because she said, we voted for change. I read that as, I voted for change and I didn't get it.
I think the government's made a lot of promises that they haven't kept.
We thought we were going to get an improvement by voting for change, but that's not what's happened.
Broken promises. No Dunedin hospital.
I look at this town especially, where the shops are closing, there's nothing, I don't know, I just think New Zealand's in a bad way.
The majority sceptical, the government's got us back on track. Benedict Collins, One News.
So there you go. Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying, Chewy. We have to be careful with our echo chamber. And I think one of the ways I get around that is I consume all media. Like, what would you call right-wing media? I mean, you guys know what pops up in my algorithm because it ends up being in the fucking show. And there are some people out there who are doing financially spectacularly well at the moment, thanks to this government. Any thoughts, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, every time that there's a survey comes out, I'm like, why are people not seeing the things that we're seeing here? We're seeing some really dramatic societal changes happening. Some things that will affect us in a big way downstream, and I think a lot of things that don't stack up to how previous governments of either shade have dealt with things. I don't think this is really sinking in with the population yet. And like I've mentioned this on the show lots. Like, we're all very politically active. We're all very politically aware. But for a lot of people, this shit just slides through. They're not interested. And it'll be something that hits them at home or something that makes it personal to them before they start to notice. And I think what you saw in that news piece is the Dunedin hospital stuff brought it home to everyone.
Yeah.
In one big hit, but that is just one sliver of what this government has been up to. You know, the same for the people up north that are now going to have to be paying tolls on a road that they paid for.
Yeah.
You know, that'll bring it home for those guys. For people who now can't get their kids to school, is that going to be something that they go, oh, I didn't vote for this? Will you be thinking that same way if you're sitting on the dock at Picton, realizing your whole family's holiday's gone up in smoke because the boat's broken?
Shut up. Don't say that out loud, bro. What are you talking about? That's not going to happen. Dude, they're going to be fine. I'm going to get across. It's not a problem.
And I think this is a problem. Like, we've spoken about how it's just been a downright assault on Māori from this government. And when you're not Māori and you're not on the receiving end of that, you just roll your eyes and go, what are these guys complaining about? That's why it's important that we stand with them. You know? So yeah, I don't know how long it takes people to notice. Maybe that's what John Key was talking about with his ridiculous oil tanker analogy. Bear in mind, this is a man that spent most of his year in Hawaii and is completely insulated from anything that happens here. But yeah, sure. Let's get him on the news again. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah, I wonder. John Key's interesting because he was liked by a lot of New Zealand. You know, a guy I can have a beer with. And I wonder, there's been a few moments he's popped up, and I wonder what's going on in the National Party for this guy to be popping up into public. I wonder if it's more calculated when he shows his face. I don't know, but I just wonder, because why are you here? Why are you getting up? You know, you're worth 50, 60, 70 mil, as you say, or spending all the, why the fuck would you get up at 6:30 in the morning to go talk to a TVNZ program? Like, why, what's it about? I don't trust that someone's just doing it because, oh yeah, I'll be a political commentator now. What's it all about? I think we could see more to that as we see this government go on. I wonder if he's in there because Luxon's unlikable. I wonder if he's in there to remind people, you know, Barack Obama, he's doing a lot for Kamala Harris at the moment. People love Barack Obama, but he's still around because maybe certainly Sleepy Joe and maybe Kamala, I know people don't know that, I'm taking the piss, Sleepy Joe, haven't quite hit the same levels of likability as him. I wonder if the John Key stuff's about the same. Not sure.